What's up guys, and welcome to the 2,000 subscribers Q&A today. Yes, thanks so much guys for the milestone. And a couple of weeks ago now, maybe a week or two ago, I asked you guys to send me in some questions for a Q&A, obviously. Sort of things that you've always wanted to find out about me on YouTube and what have you. So yep. Today, I'm going to be answering the first section of questions. I decided to split it up into two parts just because I had so many questions. But I really want to answer as many as possible. So today, I've decided to answer the YouTube comments that you guys put down in the comments section, of course. But yeah, thanks so much for the questions, guys. And if I didn't answer your YouTube question, then please do leave it down below. I'm pretty sure I have answered them all. But yeah, I'll get straight on into the video now. Hope you guys do enjoy the gameplay in the background as well. It's a bit of Senna career to keep you amused. Without further ado, I'll get down into the first question. So the first question I received from a couple of people, Richard Gonda and Captain Carnage17, both asked, how did you come up with the idea to do a Senna career? Well, I thought this would be quite a good one to start at because obviously it's been my most popular series ever. And, you know, I just came up with it because, in fact, I came up with it a long time ago. In fact, it was this time last year. I actually started one on F1 2013 last February when I had about 200 subscribers. But I only did a couple of episodes. It actually got, you know, decent return of views. Not too great, in fact. You know, it was decent, I guess, at the time, but I just wasn't really enjoying playing F1 2013. And in fact, I stopped to do that. I stopped doing that career mode so that I could start the ultimate career, basically. So I guess I might not be where I was today if I'd have done it earlier. But yeah, I thought I'd do it on F1 2014 because the game was really becoming very stale. In my opinion, and in many people's opinions. So I thought, you know what, I'll mix it up and do a Senna career, you know, rather than doing it from my own perspective, I'll do it from sort of a third-person perspective. And I think people sort of like that idea and that sort of thing. And the qualifying report and what have you, that sort of came just because it is a sort of third-person series. And also, obviously, Senna is a complete legend in the sport, so yeah, it was sort of a no-brainer to do it if I was going to do it with any driver, to do it with him. I'm going to be doing this season, but I don't think I will be continuing it on F1 2015. But if you guys really do enjoy this series, then do let me know in the comments below, and I might consider doing it for F1 2015. But thanks, guys, for that question, and I'll get on to the next one. So then, the next question is from F1 2015, season build-up and news. God, I'm going to have to take a breath after saying that channel name. But anyway, the first question he asked me is tips to grow your channel. Well, for me, I just think, you know, if you upload on a regular basis, then, you know, you'll just get better at making videos, full stop. But, you know, if you can just maybe sort of, like, start to gradually improve your videos, a little bit like, you know, when you're building something, you know, you start with the foundations. Making the channel is just the foundations, and then, you know, you sort of, you know, your building blocks are sort of your videos. And then, you know, you just gradually start to get onto something. But yeah, you know, maybe if you can add something to your videos, add something extra to your videos every 2 or 3 weeks, maybe every month or so. So like maybe adding a watermark like I have in the bottom left hand corner of every video. I've now, like you can see on screen, you know, I've started to add some official FOM graphics. So maybe if you could just do something like that that makes you unique and stand out, then people will sort of start coming to your channel and think, you know what, this guy's pretty good. So yeah, like maybe upping the mic quality or the video quality, and you know, just doing simple things like that really do help. There's no sort of magic formula of you know how to grow your channel. It doesn't happen overnight, and you've just got to persevere. But I'm sure any of you who are looking to do so will be successful if you do persevere. His second question is top 3 for the 2015 championship. Well, I think it's pretty obvious that it'll probably be Nico Rosberg and Lewis Hamilton in the top 2 slots, providing that Mercedes is as OP. And you know, I think the 3rd slot will probably be taken by a driver who just has a very good season like Ricciardo did last year. It might be Vettel, it might even be Valtteri Bottas, or it might even be Ricciardo again. Will F1 2015 be good, and when will it be released? For me, I think it'll be released in May or June, and I think it'll be decent, but maybe have a few glitches. And finally, how do you think Haas will do it in 2016? I think they'll be sort of a midfield team, but maybe struggle a bit. Parallax Gaming is next up, and he asked my predictions for Formula 1 in 2015, and I guess I sort of answered it in that last question slightly. I think the Mercedes will dominate once again, but I think Ferrari may be decent this year. I'm not 100% on that. I think a lot of it depends on how their engine is. But I think, you know, the actual aerodynamics and the actual car itself will be good. Red Bull, you know, they'll always be there or thereabouts. And it'll be interesting to see how Ricciardo and Kvyat work together. McLaren Honda, I think they'll have very good speed, but it's just whether they can get the reliability. And apart from that, I'm not really sure of how the sort of the midfield, I guess, will pan out. But I think it'll be quite an interesting season. Williams as well, I think they'll be pretty quick. And maybe Sauber will be improving throughout the year. I think Force India will struggle in my opinion. But yeah, that'll be interesting to see. And thanks very much for the question. And yeah, let's move on to the next one. Who is your favourite F1 YouTuber? Asked onto the podium. And to be honest, I pretty much watch every single F1 YouTuber that's out there. Over around 300, 400 subscribers, to be honest. But for me, I think Ben or Tiamat Marduk, as probably every single one of you will know, is the most subscribed to YouTuber in the F1 community. And for me, he thoroughly deserves that. You know, his career mode, I've watched pretty much every episode since F1 2013 started. I just think, I don't know what it is, but, you know, he's thoroughly deserving of all those subscribers. And you've also, you know, I think Arava, you can tell the effort that he puts into his career mode is absolutely insane. And I think it's sort of unmatched, sort of unrivaled, to be honest. So those two guys, pretty much the two most subscribed to, guys in the community, or at least the ones who get the most views nowadays. I think they're thoroughly deserving of it. But yeah, I absolutely love this community, and I think that everyone is always striving to improve. And yeah, you know, there's so many people who make great videos in the community. F1 Burnout and Diamond Driver asked the same question, so I've sort of merged it into one once again. And they asked, what is my favourite Formula 1 game? For me, it's F1 2010. You're probably guessing as I've done a career mode on it before I even did a career mode on anything else. So yeah, it was my very first career mode to do on YouTube. And it's just a great game, you know. I think we've been over this so many times that it was just the most complete Codemasters game. Having the live the life element for me was amazing, and I think just the general feel of the game was a very, very fun atmosphere, and it's something that I'd love to see for F1 2015. I do quite enjoy F1 2014, if I'm being frank with you, just because I'm on PC and the mods and what have you, and the modding community out there are absolutely insane. So yeah, F1 2010 for me is my favourite Formula 1 game, but I'm hoping that F1 2015 can replace that. The next question comes in from Ryan Maguire, who asks, how long did it take you to get to 1,000 subscribers? And also, well done on 2K. So thanks a lot, Ryan, for the question. Also, thanks for the congratulations. It really does mean a lot. But it, in fact, took me quite a long time to reach 1,000 subscribers. Just under a year on this channel. I think if you go to my 1,000 subscribers thank you video, I say exactly how many days it is. Can't remember off the top of my head, but it was 350 something days since I started, since I sort of did the first video on the channel. So yeah, it did take me a long time to get the channel going, but as soon as the Ultimate career started, it just sort of burst into life, and people really enjoyed that. But yeah, the last 1,000 has come really quickly, especially the last 300 or 400 or so have come in the last month. Which is insane, and hopefully we can keep on growing. Obviously, I've already surpassed 2,100, so thanks a lot, guys, for that, and hopefully we can keep growing. Zach Rob Does Gaming is the next person who asked the question, and he asks, what was the first F1 game you played? Well, the first F1 game I played was F1 2004 on the PS2. I bought it in about 2007, I want to say. That's the first year where I really took interest in Formula 1 and sort of watched it on a regular basis. So I bought the F1 2004 game and I played the hell out of that game. I still remember to this day doing a 100% race around Monaco. My first ever 100% race, and boy, it was grueling. I remember sitting there for 1.5 hours and thinking, how do people do this? And do people even use this feature? And now here I am, and I do the 100% races sort of every other week. But yeah, that was the first game that I played. It was a lot of fun. I got a lot of game time out of that. It was a pretty glitchy game, if I'm being honest. But yeah, it's sort of one that I'll always look at as the first F1 game that I did play. Well, Richie992 is the next sort of person who asked me a question, and he says, how did I get into Formula 1 and what was the first race I watched? Well, I got into it just, you know, from family and what have you, watching it. And, you know, it wasn't really one day where I thought, I'm going to watch a Formula 1 race now. It was just sort of always there in the background of my life. 2007 was the first season where I properly started watching it. Probably because that was sort of the early stage where you can really sort of, you know, sit down and watch something for an hour and a half or 2 hours. So, yeah, you know, I've always really, really enjoyed watching it. And that was the first season where Lewis Hamilton was sort of driving. And that sort of brings me on to his next question, which is, who is your favourite driver? That is Lewis Hamilton, you know, just because I started properly watching in 2007, and yeah, it was just sort of second nature with him being a British driver, me being British, to support him. But he obviously says at the end, except Max Chilton, who is, of course, my favourite driver, driving with him in Snailed It, which should be returning within the next couple of weeks if you guys are interested in that. But yeah, thanks very much for the question, and we'll get on to the next one. Well, we've got a very interesting question next up from Aditya Kadam, who says, how do you manage both studies and creating videos? Well, to be honest, you know, videos sort of take a secondary, yeah, they very much take a back step, to be honest. I only really, you know, do them when I've sort of got any spare time, but yeah, the studies always come first, and I actually take 5 subjects at A-level, which is quite difficult, you know, to sort of find enough time to study them, never mind having spare time to make the videos. But yeah, that's probably why you haven't been seeing that many sort of from me recently. It's probably going to be down to 1 or 2 a week, to be honest, you know, when it comes to March, April, May, June, which is a shame, but, you know, it's got to take a sort of back step, I guess. You know, the studies will always come first, and, you know, it is very, very difficult to sort of manage, because obviously the rendering or whatever takes a very long time, so I've got to get them sort of ready to render pretty early if I actually want to get any sleep. But, yeah, I'd like to think that I do manage them quite well, but it is very, very difficult, and, you know, my one bit of advice to you guys would be to always sort of put your studies first, and creating videos to sort of take a back control, as I've already said. But thanks very much for that very interesting question, and, yeah, we'll get on to the next one. Very Gamer Bunny asked me my favourite 2015 car at the moment. I assume he means from the F1 grid. So for me, the Ferrari looks very nice. Probably what it should be, I guess a lot of people would say. You know, they should say that it should be the best looking car. But the nose on it is by far the nicest looking, in my opinion. And the paint job on it isn't half bad either. I quite like Vettel's helmet inside of it as well. So yeah, that looks pretty slick. The Mercedes doesn't look too bad, although I'm not over keen on that nose cone. But yeah, I guess we'll grow to love it in a way, like we did the F1 2014 cars. But some of them do look a bit horrific, including the Williams for me. That thumb nose on it doesn't look great. But yeah, the Ferrari for me is the best looking car of 2015. Although, well, we'll have to see how it runs sort of come Melbourne and whether it is actually any good. But thanks ever so much for the question anyway. Josh Lem asked the next question, which is what inspired me to do an Ultimate career and also a Senna career. Well, I've already sort of answered the Senna career part at the start of the video. But what inspired me to do an Ultimate career? Well, I was in game one day, and F1 2011 was there, a game that I'd never even bought before, or never mind played. And I thought, you know what, I'll buy it and, you know, maybe play it. And then I got home and sort of had a look at all the games. And I got all the Codemasters games, and I thought, how cool would it be if I did a career mode where I sort of started on F1 2010 and moved all the way up to F1 2013 at the time. And I thought, you know what, I'll give it a go. YouTube growth was really, really slow at the time. So I gave it a go, and yeah, that was sort of my inspiration, I guess. And, well, I guess as the saying goes, the rest is history. But yeah, that series really just gave me a great motivation to sort of make videos on a regular basis. The first time that I've really done so, to be honest. And yeah, thanks ever so much for the question, Josh, and I hope that I did answer it properly. And yeah, the inspiration was just simply buying F1 2011. Pretty innocuous, I know. But yeah, thanks for the question nonetheless. Well, the next question comes from a good friend of mine in real life, Battlefront News, also known as Tom, from the old Aeterno channel. He says, Joe is love, Joe is life. Congrats on 2K, buddy. So thanks very much, Tom, for that. Obviously, Tom was one of my very big inspirations, I guess you could say. Just because he sort of inspired me to really start making videos after asking me to sort of join the channel and start making them. So, you know, you've got to thank him for me being here, or vice versa. Thank him for me being here. Yeah, great that I'm still here, isn't it? But anyway, he asked me, why can't you stop being so sexy? I don't know, Tom. I just don't know. So Pedro Pereira is the next person who asked me a question, and he asked me what my dream car would be. My very dream car would be something like a McLaren P1 or an Aston Martin DB9. But obviously they're pretty much out of reach for me, although it would be really, really cool to have them. Obviously both British made, or at least British firms. So that would be really, really cool to have. But sort of my realistic dream car, I was watching Ben or Tim at Marduk's Q&A not that long ago that he did for 60,000. He said a Nissan 350 or 370Z, and to be honest, I'd probably have to agree with him on that because they're really smart looking cars. But apart from that, I really also do like the look of the BMW i8. I know it's also a very, very expensive car, but that, you know, they are really, really neat looking cars. Also the Maserati Ghibli, that is a really, really nice looking saloon car. Probably out of reach once again, but you did ask the dream car, so what else could I respond? Thanks for the question though, mate. And yeah, I'll move on to the next one. AOR Ifos, or Ifosi, I'm really sorry if I pronounced that wrong. I've probably butchered that name, but anyway, he asked me Senna, Hamilton or Rosberg, and in what order. I assume he means in driving ability, so that's why I put that in brackets. But for me, it would probably have to be Senna at the top. Obviously, he was a 3-time world champion and probably the most naturally gifted driver of all time, although he did have a lot of faults with him, of course. You know, being a little bit prone, or quite a lot prone to accidents, as we know from Suzuka in 1989 and 1990. But, you know, he was still one of the most gifted drivers of all time, and I think anyone would take him in his team. You know, obviously, if he was in his peak and still alive, yeah, you know, anyone would pick Senna at the top of the list, I'm sure. Or at least near the top, and definitely above Hamilton and Rosberg, no disrespect. But yeah, Lewis would probably be number 2 for me. Very, very gifted driver once again. And obviously proving that he could outdo Rosberg. So I'm afraid Nico would have to be at the bottom of that list, although he's obviously still a very talented driver. So the next question is from Riat Fan 0100 or RIAT Fan, I don't know. Apologies for once again getting that name probably wrong. Yes, I'm so bad at them. But anyway, he says, do you think Marussia will make the grid in 2015? And how many more years do you think Mercedes will win the championship for? Well, in one word, no, I don't think Marussia will be on the grid in 2015, I'm afraid. You know, there was rumours that they might come on it in the name of Manor Racing, but I still don't think they'll unfortunately make it to the grid, which is a shame, of course. But how many more years do you think Mercedes will win the championship for? For me, probably until there's the next big regulation change, they'll at least challenge for the title. Maybe 2016 the teams will catch up, but for me 2015 is pretty much nailed on for Mercedes. That's just in my opinion, of course, but obviously they had such a big advantage last year, and yeah, they don't really need to do a lot this year in my opinion. But thanks for the questions once again, and yeah, we'll get on to the next one. Vasco Perez asked me who my favourite F1 driver is, and also my favourite race. Well, I've also already said that my favourite driver is Lewis Hamilton. My favourite race, if he means my favourite track, then that would probably be Silverstone. You know, to drive would be Silverstone, and obviously I've already been to the British Grand Prix as well at Silverstone. Really, really nice track, and you know, it's just got a really great flow to it as well. And obviously the vibes at the racetrack are absolutely insane, so that'll be pretty cool. I'm going once again this year, so that's again insane. Also Spa, a fantastic track, and Monza, and just, you know, all of the classic tracks as well. Well, it would obviously be so, you know, it'd be amazing to go to the Monaco Grand Prix just for the atmosphere, and maybe Singapore as well. So yeah, you know, I couldn't sort of turn my head at going to any F1 race, to be honest. But yeah, Silverstone is my favourite track. And yeah, the favourite race. If I did misinterpret that question, then I do apologise, and leave in the comments if I did. And yeah, I'll answer the question once again. But thanks for the question. We'll move on to the next one. So the final question of part 1 of this Q&A is from Rick Vig, or Rick Viggy, Vic Vige, I really don't know. I think you know by now that I can't pronounce names. But anyway, he asked me my PC specs and who is your real life inspiration. My PC specs I'll leave down in the description, probably not, but I'm doing a setup video next week anyway, so yeah, I'll be able to show you my PC just down here. But it's got a NVIDIA GeForce GTX 750 Ti graphics card, so yeah, it's got a really, really good graphics card, which is pretty much the best thing that I've got. Cost about £120 on its own, which was not too bad, I guess. So yeah, I do really, really like it. Like I say, I'll leave the specs properly down in the description if I do remember. Real life inspiration, I don't think I really have one. I'm pretty much a self-motivator, to be honest, and don't really have anyone who I literally, you know, look up to and think I want to be like them, because, you know, to be honest, I just want to be my own person. Top 5 fastest drivers in AOR, PC or Xbox 360. Noble 2909, XMyG, TRL Limitless, and on the PC side of things, Onage and Alex Gillen. For me, you know, they're obviously the fastest guys, and they've definitely proved themselves over the last few years. But thanks ever so much for the YouTube comments, which were in this section of the Q&A. make sure to join me next week for part 2 of the Q&A, where I'll be answering your guys' Twitter questions that you sent me in. Yeah, like I said, I didn't want to make this part too long, but I did want to answer all the questions. Like I say, if you've got any more questions, then do let me know down below, and I'll try to answer as many as possible. But thanks so much for watching, guys, and I'll catch you guys in my next video, whatever it may be. I'm still not decided on what it is, organised as I am. But yeah, like I say, take care, guys, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.